Welcome everybody to the show. It's the Wow Show with Carla Vaughn. Back by popular demand, and she's in the studio for today. We're going to be taking calls, and the phone number is right behind us there if you want to see how to call. It's 720-386-0513. So Carla, there it is for in case you want to shout it out without having to look behind you.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk a lot about businesses and financials, help with your business, how to go to this beautiful website that she created and how to get help on there. So with that being said, we're going to start our show with Miss Carla Vaughn. Welcome.
Well, thank you, Henry. And that number again is 720-386-0513. So today is a special day because instead of just talking about WOW, I want to find out for you business owners out there, those new ones or the ones that are getting through that growth struggle, to hear from you in terms of your questions. So as if you followed any of this so far for the last couple of weeks, I'm an accountant on one side. I've had an accounting business for almost 20 years. And I also run a nonprofit that teaches financial literacy. And then I've got WOW, all right, words of wisdom. And what makes this a little bit different, it's not just sharing business thoughts and business ideals, but also looking at how your business connects with you as a person, as an individual, as a man, as a woman, and also too on the spiritual level. So I invite you to call and ask questions, whether that's how do I keep getting up in the morning after my clients have kicked me in my teeth, or what do I do to get more organized, and how am I to make that a part of my lifestyle? So,
and I like the way you say kick you in your teeth, because that's what happens sometimes. It's like, whoa, why is today like the way it is? And you wonder what's going on in the world, you know? So tell us more about it.
Well, I think something that we all struggle with as business owners is our clients, or sometimes just the world, kicking us in our teeth. And I don't think necessarily our clients mean to do that, but they do, okay? And it's one of those things. Yes, it's part of life, part about being in business and all like that. But like what Words for Wisdom is all about is, as a business owner, how do you really want to get up and say, okay, I'm going to try this again? That's the deal. You know?
And the thing, what we're going to do today is we're going to have call-ins, and so feel free to call in. You know, we posted it up all over the place, and I know you're looking at that, and you've seen it. I did it in various forms, so it has the number as big as you can see it. It has all the links and to hear us also, so you can hear how we sound. If you don't want to call in, you know, you just want to sit back and listen, all the links are up there. But you can call. The number is right behind us, 720-386-0513. And it takes a little time, and we'll get them all going there for you, Carla. But in the meantime, we'll keep talking all about this good stuff that you have to offer.
Okay, so they say that people remember stories, right? So I'm going to tell you a story. Okay, this is the story about how I got started in business. I'll make it short though. I literally had life kick me in my teeth. I was newly divorced. I became a single mom kind of overnight, and I had been working at a architect firm as an executive assistant. But because I was formerly a financial planner, I had my tax certificate, all this other good stuff. Anyway, next thing I know, I have moved into this beautiful luxury apartment with my 2 children and bought a brand new car and on my way to saving for a house and all that good stuff, and life kicked me in my teeth.
Oh.
I know.
And that's real when you say that. Life kicks you in the teeth. And, you know, you can be, and a lot of people go through that. You know, they get the new job, they get their car, their new home, kids, everything's going good, you're happy, and all of a sudden something always comes along and changes the fabric of what you're doing.
And what changed me was I got laid off.
See, that's the thing. That's what can do you right away. And sometimes you feel like, who decided to let me go? They don't care. It doesn't bother them one bit. We just have to make sure the company makes it.
Right, right. And you cannot predict. I think the biggest thing to always remember, you can't predict human behavior, no matter how much you try. This includes you and your family. Sometimes includes you and yourself. When you sit up there and say to yourself, "Oh, I really did that." You know?
You think, and that happens too. So, wait a minute, and you'll reconcile all the things you did and why you did them and what brought you to that point.
Hmm. And I believe that sometimes being in business, Henry, is kind of by accident, but yet on purpose. When I started my bookkeeping
Clients or some
business, it was what I thought was
sometimes just
by
the world
accident, but
kicking us in
probably
our
was on
teeth.
purpose. Because I wound up having
Um,
to go work at Jackson Hewitt.
Whoa.
Shh, don't
and I
tell
don't
anybody, right? Because I had to make ends meet and I had 2 kids to feed.
And it's not a bad place, but they just keep you just above the water.
They do.
And they know how to keep you there to keep you coming back to make the money, but they don't give you quite enough. I mean, it's just enough to live with, and
Exactly.
it's like at the end of the month, you look at what you have left. You got $13, and it's like, man, how am I going to pay the water bill now?
Absolutely. But what happened there wound up launching me in business. And that was literally people were coming in asking about business taxes. Well, I had been a tax professional for years, but didn't have my own tax practice. And it was taking too long for the newbies to answer the questions, and people were getting fed up and all like that. So I started leaning over and saying, "Hey, this is the answer to your question." And then next thing I know, people start saying, "Hey, do you have a phone number?" And hence, ta-da! I got started in my business unplanned, but yet I believe in the divine order of things. So if you've been on wowforsmallbusinesses.com and have seen any of the webinars, you know I really believe that yes, everything for a purpose, everything for a reason. But that was mine, and my first client, she was with me for almost 15 out of the 20 years we've been in business.
Because she trusted you with what you were doing, and she understood that you were bringing her a lot of not only real life experiences, but a lot of know-how of what you've learned. And real life experiences can sometimes outweigh a college education.
True.
Because college education is more you know I would say when you go through college, it's structured. It's a certain way that you do your business or do things. But in the real world, there's stuff they can't dream up.
True.
You
Very,
can't
very
dream it up.
true. Very
And they
true.
should probably have those kind of things within a structured college program where you get hired by a company, and then the boss who hired you leaves. They bring in this other one who's going to clean it up. You're first to go. And there's your
Yeah.
money, and that happens a lot.
I mean, you look at COVID and all the businesses that went out of business. But more importantly, like I try to encourage people, look at COVID in a positive way because it helped a lot of people get to starting their businesses. And hopefully, listening today, you're one of them.
And feel free to call in. I mean, everybody knows on the first round when we first start on the call-ins, everybody just sits back. We just know this. We just sit back and know it. We just see who calls in. Feel free to call in 720-386-0513. They don't have to say their name. You don't have to say your name if you want to stay.
If you want to be anonymous, that's
Yeah,
cool.
that's what I was thinking. Some people do.
Yes.
They don't want to say who they are because maybe their business is not, it's frailing or something's going wrong. You could stay anonymous to the whole thing if you just want to talk to Carla about some of the things that she can help you with. And numbers, she's good with numbers. Now, I've always said this, if you don't hold on to your money, you won't have any. And knowing how
Very
to
true.
watch your numbers and use your money is key to having a successful business, how to rotate that money. Now, oh, look, I made all this money, let's go buy everybody dinner, and let's go out on the town, and you actually needed that money to pay your lease.
Absolutely.
That happens a lot.
It does. It does. And you ever see businesses that you know were thriving and had a lot of people come in and then boom, they're shut down?
Yeah.
It's like, what happened? And you don't know that there's a whole bunch of stuff running in their background. And sometimes
Stuff
it is
that-
about money matters.
Yeah, and they don't know how to run their money. They can make it, but they don't know how to take care of it. Like what you do, Carla. You created this business that helps people run their money, and if you don't know how to run your money, you're not going to stay in business very long.
Absolutely.
There's taxation, and then putting your money away for your government taxation, because you don't just pull it out. You have to set it aside and kind of think of what it could be, and you're guessing at what it might be. So you just put enough away. So at the end of the year, you don't have to add a little bit extra. You have extra left over for the next year.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely, Henry. The thing is, though, not everybody likes numbers. Not everybody's good at numbers.
I love the way you said that. Yes,
And
Rita.
it is so true. And that is like letting go is of you being in control of your business is one of the hardest things there is. Um, I talk about it on one of my webinars about letting go and just releasing. Part of your releasing sometimes is to release the stuff you hate, you're not good at, you need to be honest with yourself, and give it to another professional to do. So that's important too. It's sometimes very hard to do, but until you get to that point, you won't know what a wonderful feeling it is just to feel unburdened. I mean, that is the thing, to feel unburdened by having to handle part of your business that you really know you suck at. So, but it happens.
Yeah, I like
It
the way you say
happens.
that, suck at, because, numbers can really mess with people. They think, oh, just do this, do that, but there's all these other variables, the government, your state government, your city, your local,
Mhm.
everything that goes along with it. You have to have your taxation for the city, for the state, for the
Right,
federal.
right.
Well, you got to put everything in order, and then there's other quarterly things that they
Mhm.
want you to do if you're a quarterly person,
Mhm.
or if you're an annual person, you have to know how to do those things. Carla can do this for you, set you all up, and you can tell how calm she is because numbers rattle a lot of people. Hers, oh, I can take care of this.
Yes.
Oh, you got that wrong. That's $10,000, not $1,000. Some people have made those big mistakes. I know I have. I
True.
have made those big mistakes. Whoa, whoa, how did I do that?
Mhm.
And an accountant like you catches those things.
Yes, yes. The thing is, though, is so many of us as entrepreneurs don't want to admit that we're not good at something that for some reason we feel we should be good at. And Henry, the reality is this: we're not good at everything.
That's
No
right.
matter how much we want to be, we're not. I mean, one thing you mentioned was you're like, oh, I love your website and it's all nice and pretty and beautiful and
Is it pretty?
you did that. And I'm like, no, not really. I did the webinars, but creating the site and all like that.
And it's
Well,
a
that was
beautiful
my
site, and
IT gal who I was happy enough to meet through a networking connection. And I said, this is what I've got going on. I said, I can do this because, yes, I have a degree in international marketing, so I know how to do some of this stuff. But I don't do it quickly. I
that's
don't
right.
do it efficiently. And it's a struggle and it's not a joy. So guess what? I said, how much do you charge? Please take this off my plate.
And she saw your vision. Some people can
Mm-hmm.
see your vision and
Yes.
then lay it out. You go, whoa.
Yes.
Except change
Absolutely.
this and that, and they tweak it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. How
Mm-hmm.
you like that? Oh, yes. And it's like,
Right.
and then they'll add their own flavor to it, which makes it even
Mm-hmm.
come out more fascinating. Yeah, there was one. I got an email from this gentleman who has a small business. It's called Promo Ads,
Okay.
and I seen it. It says Promo Ads, new ownership, blah blah blah. I just looked at it, but kind of bypassed it. When I was looking at everything else that I needed to get
Okay.
to it, and I came back to it. I opened it up. I thought new ownership. No, it was the passing of him.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's like I let that sit for a day, and I thought, whoa. Opened it up, and he was struggling.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, like you said, what's in the background you don't know.
Right.
And I didn't
Right.
know why his business was flailing and struggling so much.
Uh-huh.
And I would always work on his computers for him and
Mm-hmm.
help him out. We'd do things together and collaborate on exchanging this for that instead of money. Well, he was battling cancer.
Oh my
And
goodness.
how do you function with that
Yes.
kind of a dilemma?
Yes.
And I felt bad for him. I didn't know.
Mm-hmm. And I actually, in the last couple of weeks, I've had 2 calls for services because of the accountant or the CPA having some personal struggles. One was health directly to her, and then the other one, it was her father who was in hospice and going through all that. And of course, this was causing a flux because the my potential client couldn't get her financials,
Right.
and it was like very frustrating for her and all like that. And I think I'm glad you brought this up because this is one of those things I think sometimes we forget
Yeah,
is that
man,
there's this human element to everybody's business. Even if you're sitting out there and you're like, I don't really have a business. I'm just listening today. I'm just playing around on the computer or the radio or whatever. Yeah. But the thing is that because there's a human element to everything we do, there are times that we're not very forgiving when people are having their human moments, and that's a sorry state to be in.
And you know how you're talking about this now. There also is all the financials surrounding if you own a business and you don't have a will or any kind of transfers of ownership type of thing like what I seen today. And if you don't have that in place, I'm sure you have that
Yes.
service available on how to get it
Yes.
set up. Now remember, it's Carla, and you can catch her right here on the wowforsmallbusiness.com. You can see it up there on the top. It's fairly big, and you can see it on the camera. And you can call in now. You can talk to her direct. Now, with this being said, some people will get wound up in not taking care of this, and a business that says it's worth $1.5 million, there's 3 kids and cousins that are involved, and that causes conflict.
Absolutely.
Oh my God!
Absolutely. I'm always surprised at how many people don't know what Key Man Insurance is out there. Back in the day when I used to sell insurance, that would be one of the things I would do investigating on when looking at small businesses. So what happens if you, as the owner of the business, you get sick and disabled, or you actually die? What happens to your business? These things we want to either not totally think about or pretend it could not happen to me routine, which is wrong.
Yes.
You know, so it's like, what stopgap measures do you have in place? I'm fortunate because I think about these things. And so my stopgap measure on my accounting side is that eventually my assistant is going to be taking it over in a couple of years. And my stopgap measure is because I do want to retire.
Yes, that's the thing. You want to set back. Now, in the event of death, and there's several owners of ownerships, you have to have this in place and have, if you're going to sell it off, you got to know how to separate what belongs to the business and then what is left as the net.
Right.
A lot of people don't understand the gross, the net, and all these
True.
other kind of things.
Very true.
That's what you do. You would show them all what there is to know about when you sell off the business. This all goes with it. The residual is the net.
Right.
And that's what you split between the two, depending on the percentage of the ownership. Now, some get upset. I've seen a lot of that. Oh no, he left it all to me. No, he didn't.
General rule of thumb, if it's not in writing,
It's
up to interpretation and the lawyers.
I got one for you. When there's hardly any money there, nobody shows up. When there's a little bit of money there, the family shows up. When there's lots of money there, the family and lawyers show up.
Very
Right?
true.
Very true. This is all the lawyers.
Very, very true.
It's interesting, people will start small businesses and they grow huge and they just don't know what they're doing sometimes as it grows, and they'll have 10 salespeople that all of a sudden came on board because it's going so big. I seen an asphalt company do this. Started out small, they're very just growing, and all of a sudden they grew big a little quick. But he was smart. He got his accountant, 2 of them.
Okay.
He got one night and day because they worked around the clock because of what they did.
Oh, wow. All right.
They were, even though they were asphalt at night, they would do all this other kind of work like snow removal and all this other stuff with the equipment. So they were working around the clock, so they needed one person with the income status sitting there, taking it in or whatever. But now they had a conflict with the 2, and that happens.
Okay.
Sometimes one accountant will say, "Oh no, that goes in this line. No, this goes in," and sometimes that would cause issues, and that was causing them a little bit of a problem. What do you think about having 2 accountants in certain respect?
My general rule of thumb is really don't do it. But if you find it necessary, then you find it necessary. But if they can't get along, then you need to kind of, in my opinion, if you can't figure it out, start over.
Yes.
Just say goodbye to both. I actually was talking to a gentleman today, and he was talking about how the CPA and the bookkeeper didn't really seem to get along, and how it was causing him problems, And, he's looking obviously for a replacement. But at some point you have to decide, is the internal struggles that you're facing, Are they worth you to continue to go through? If they're not, then you need a new plan. And that's part of that letting go
Right.
that I talk about on one of the webinars. Sometimes it's an unhappy decision. You can't make everyone happy. Simple as that. The problem with people in the numbers, though, is you're right. Some will say, well, that goes in that category, and the other person says, no, it goes in this category, and then you have a clashing of the minds. But it's something for you to figure out as a business owner.
On your first show, it really lifted big, and I forgot what the subject line was about, but we went up a little over 800 or 1,000 viewers on there. And the second one didn't lift as high. I think it was 500 or 600. We had a different subject line. But some of the things that we've been talking about, I think, has been hidden because people will come home and just see what this is.
Right.
They rewatch it, and it's not always at the same time, which is, that's what's nice about being able to rewatch your information that you're sharing out there. Now, you talked about the bookkeeper, and it has brought to mind about the Untouchables. They were after the bookkeeper.
Very true. Very true.
And there's a reason why, because he had all the knowledge of all the income and all the laundering of the money,
right,
and how he would launder it, but they were trying to get him so bad. And it just reminded me, you said bookkeeper, I thought, some people do that. They cook the books.
They do. They do.
Or they launder the money through the books. And so
yeah,
you have to be able to read that and be able to see it. Like, let's say you were going to buy a business from somebody, and you go look at the books. Can they get you, Carla Vaughn, to come and review everything
for sure.
And you do have a set fee for that. So
yes,
Carla, would you look over these books and see if they're in order for us? And you can more or less tell if it's functional, if it's working, and if it's real.
Absolutely.
And I thought I'd throw that out there because you said the bookkeeper. I thought of how they were doing that. I go, whoa, were they laundering the money?
Well, actually, I swear to God, this was probably 2009 or 2010.
These are great stories. She's going to tell you something good.
We had a client. At that time, I had a business partner, and he was from the finance world. He was a financial planner who had moved over to bookkeeping, taxes, and payroll with me. And the guy wanted us to go back and kind of revisit his numbers. And unfortunately, we're going through this, and because as a financial planner, you have to go through anti-laundering classes, we started noticing where some of this money was going to when we were tracking the money, because you have a line item, and it'll maybe travel or whatever.
Food or gas, but it's kind of high.
It just seems like funky. And we found out that he was laundering money. And of course, it winds up being a hands-off, you're going to go to jail kind of thing and get out of my office. So it's important when you're engaging a professional is that you do have someone who's thorough, whether it's about numbers or it's about IT or it's about packaging for your product, whatever it is. But more importantly, too, you want to deal with people who are honest. And if you suspect someone isn't being honest with you, that's the worst. Because
integrity is the key, right?
Right. It speaks to your character. And the thing is, in small business, it's everything, that reputation.
Now, there's some small businesses that really rely on a lot of cash. And if you're in a barber shop or a beauty salon, they run a lot in cash. Same with the restaurant industry or the fast food industry. Runs a lot in cash. And so there's an area right there that can be really laundered easily. And I've seen a lot of that happen, too. Like, this little restaurant sure was kicking some butt, and it's just little. How is that happening?
Well,
and you understand, you can't sell that many burritos out of that.
Well, the thing is, though, IRS has its own standards, and one of the ones I found out is how much you actually get paid.
Yeah.
So if you say you're a chiropractor, and as a chiropractor, most chiropractors get paid, say, between, I don't really know, but say between 80 and 150,000, but your income is like 250,000, and it's just you. Something's going on.
Yeah.
Something's going on.
And it's true. It's like, and that's how they can tell on the variables. Now, you got to be careful when you have your own small business. And you can go to this website right behind us, wowforsmallbusinesses.com. And you can go through a lot of these Find Money with Focus areas, and then the webinars are really, really good. And you're welcome to go up on this site and take a look and subscribe to it. Now, the costs, and we went over this last time, are very, very reasonable. Who offers this kind of advice and webinars and stuff for that kind of money for the whole year? It's only $3.99.
And this is what I think a lot of people sometimes miss is that maybe you're not an entrepreneur and you're listening today.
Yeah.
Maybe you're just the
Listening.
there's listening.
I'm telling you, there's a lot of
Maybe
people who just like to listen.
Maybe you're retired. Maybe you're just doing the 9 to 5 thing. And this site is great for you as well because though it gives financial advice and business organizational advice and all that, it also really runs deep into what kind of relationships you are having. How do you make those relationships good for you, good for the other person? How do you stay in a healthy relationship? So it's not all businessy. A lot of it too should speak to the core of who you are as a person, who you are as a parent, who you are as a coworker even, because it's not just about business tips. It's about you looking to change your behavior. You want to look to be the better person every day you wake up and you show up. You want to be a step above. What does it take to be a step above? Change your consciousness.
That's right. And how to be, and that's the thing about it. And there's a lot of advice that you can get on this website and all the webinars and everything that Carla has done. And she's a former entrepreneur. I mean, you're still an entrepreneur. There's some that you have failed at. So don't feel like if you failed at something and you're failed now, you can still call in. Call in and get some advice because, the hierarchy of a business starts with you. And then you have, your the accountant, and you have your workers, and you have your people who just are subcontractors, and you have all the variables depending on how you're working the business or what it is. Knowing how to take care of your money, knowing how to just even communicate. Interpersonal skills are essential in a business organization. If you don't have interpersonal skills and you're talking, hey homie, what's up? You gonna do that for me? Slapping them back and no contract or nothing. There's a lot of businesses that run that way. And you wonder, how are you getting by?
Well, then we go to speak to business culture. But as you mentioned,
let's talk about that.
Okay.
Because on the last one, I think we were just kind of touching on that in the very first one, and man, you had a lot of, like I said, viewership. And you were talking about the culture of businesses, and there's some that and let's go over a really good one, intermediate, and a really bad one.
Okay. Well, a really good one has to speak to you. Number one, that's how you know you're in the right culture. I was actually creating a little program the other day, and I was talking about the happiness factor. When it doesn't matter whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're 9 to 5, there's a thing called a happiness factor. HAPPYNES, happiness factor. And it literally measures how happy you are with your profession and work. Part of that is asking yourself and getting in tune with what is the culture at work? How am I being treated? Where is my desk? Is it facing the door? Is it facing a window? Is it facing the broom closet?
That means a lot, too.
It does, because it works on your psyche and you don't even know it.
I'm not going in that broom closet, and I'm not coming out of the closet. You're not making me.
I am not doing this one more day. So the culture at work definitely affects us. If you're in a really good culture, that means it's resonating with your core values. And sometimes we don't even know what those core values are. You need to discover what they are. I talk about core values on the webinar, so look for some of that. But what is resonating to you as a person of business or as an employee, and if being around those people, being in that environment, dealing with the attitudes of the people you work with is not like causing you friction, you're in a great environment. If it is causing you friction, you're not in such a good environment.
You get those anxieties. You come home like stressed and
exactly
uptight. And their energy kind of overrode you, and you go and take it home.
But it's not even. You don't even have to wait to get home.
Get off the road, you son of a biscuit! I'll run your butt over.
It's sometimes absolutely. It's manifest in road rage. It's manifest with you just like, okay, here it is Friday, and I am not having a good Friday. Okay, I don't work for 2 days. You know, why am I not having a good Friday? You have to ask yourself what is going on politically, socially, organizationally at your job that is causing or creating certain thought patterns in you. You know, we have self-talk every day,
That's right.
but we don't always what I call embrace those self-thoughts to say, oh gosh, I need to stop saying that to myself, or I need to start saying that to myself, you know?
Yeah, it's funny because the culture we run here runs on humor, some humor, and dialect, and how you speak with one another. And then we'll even get, like, Charlie has a vocabulary he never leaves home without, so I always grab one word, take it down to a ghetto sound, I'll start talking ghetto and put that big word in there and keep talking. Everybody dies laughing because it works out so good. Then we call this place every refuge. This is everybody's refuge that comes in here. I said, this is your refuge.
See, that speaks a lot.
And they said, yes, it is. And I go, every refuge has its price. They come in here, they sit in here, and they, wow, I love it. They love to come in here and do their shows. And you make them feel so comfortable.
Great.
And even if they're feeling down on the day, when they go to see me, I'll humor them or I'll start speaking some happy stuff.
So as he explains this, what you should be hearing from Henry is the culture is a loving, safe environment.
That's right.
Okay.
And I use that exactly. And everybody loves this is their refuge
Right.
to them. You know,
right.
Like,
and that speaks volumes. That
because
speaks
that
volumes.
makes them feel so good when they deliver their projection or they deliver their cadence or whatever. You can see it in them, even if they're upset.
And part of your environment, part of that culture, to me, one of the number one things is this. Are you in a work culture where you feel you are heard?
That's right.
If you don't feel like you are being heard,
like you're just there just to...
Yeah, if I don't care if you're being heard over a complaint, heard over a comment, heard over a suggestion, heard over, hey, this is my report for the month, can you look at it kind of thing and give me some feedback? If you don't feel like you're being heard, that is like the number one thing to me that should automatically send up that alarm to say something's wrong with the culture I'm in, okay? As long as you're feeling like you're heard, you're probably in a good work culture though. So that's because, you know, it's like what's most important, and one of the very most important things with anyone's job is being heard, because if you're not heard, you can't make a difference.
And then there's the real poor ones that you can step into a company and you're hired and you just feel the tension. There's a boss or a manager or whatever, the overseer of you that just comes and is always just stressing you out, making you feel bad, making everybody else feel bad in ways that they just have acclimated themselves to. They think they're running it because they have the name tag, you know.
Absolutely.
And so you run into a lot of that, and they wonder why they have turnover. Why they leave? I don't know. They just didn't like the gig, you know. And the manager or the person in charge of the group tries to always say, oh well, they just didn't work out. No.
And that's not the truth.
No, that's not the truth at all.
Absolutely.
If you could be paying only $10 an hour, if you're an awesome manager, if you're running your business the correct way, they will show up every day on time.
Absolutely.
And bring you an apple. It's true.
It is.
You make them feel so good, they just like, yeah.
But you have to know who your audience is, too. I have a good friend, and his demeanor, who he is as a person, he was a fund manager that has transitioned into non-fund manager work, which he's not been happy about. But his demeanor is he's highly analytic. So some of it, you have to know what you're dealing with. On my webinars, wowforsmallbusinesses.com, there is some webinars that talk about personality quadrants.
Oh, that's a good one. Because personality quadrants mean a lot when people come together.
Right.
And if they're not quite in sync, things don't work out. And that's just the way it is. It's like, you and I, because we kind of we share the same kind of backgrounds, business, entrepreneurial, our ages, just our music even. When you heard the music, It's just the variables that bring the like you said, the
Mhm.
quadrants.
Right. If you got to know who you're talking to also,
Yeah.
because we all have different personalities, but the personality quadrants talk about what's dominant in our personalities, and if you understand who you're talking with or talking to, and you understand their personality type, you're better to adjust you so you can have a better communication with that person. So, like my friend, I'll tell you, his name is Robbie. Robbie is super analytic, okay? We have such a meeting of the minds, which is great. But is he a touchy-feely, warm, huggy, kissy kind of person? Absolutely not. So, when there's any personal conversation about what's going on in his life or what's going on in my life, I'm very, very careful to understand that in his approach to relationships, it's just like his approach to his business world, highly analytic. So he's not a super emotional person. So if I ever wanted to cry on someone's shoulders, he would not be it.
What's wrong with you? Oh, come on.
Yeah,
all right.
You need to process this problem and get through it, because crying over it just doesn't make a difference.
I posted something up there about the ammonias combined with this, and it was really some crazy stuff. And all it was the guy washing dishes and the wife telling him how to do it.
Well, I mean,
it was analytical. It's so cute. You got to read it.
That's what we're dealing with sometimes. I mean, when you think about when you're in emotional crisis, who do you go to? I go to my friend Susanna. Love Susanna because she can be so like head on with me and give me this immediate perspective, which is a combination of I am so sorry this is happening to you, followed with skip them. You don't need them anyway, I mean, and she resonates on those two levels with me, which I love, because sometimes you need to talk to the person who's going to give you a new perspective on whatever it is that you're boohooing about or saying you're having an issue with. You've got to figure out who that go-to person is sometimes,
Now here's something funny for you. Okay, so I've always loved dogs. Mm-hmm. And I had this pit bull. It was a beautiful dog. He wasn't mean or nothing. Everybody thought he was mean because he looked the part, but he wasn't.
Okay.
But what I loved about the dog, I can go back there and sit down with him. He'd sit down and kind of put his hand up on me. And I could tell him anything. What I loved about him, he wouldn't go tell nobody anything. Kept it all to himself.
Best dog
ever. Since I could say anything about women, about my wife, about anything. Wouldn't say anything. Now that's a good friend.
That is an excellent friend.
So you said you had a friend, I had a friend too. And you get me another dog, he passed away, so I have nobody to talk to.
Oh, goodness.
So I go get in the mirror and say, so I try to talk to myself. There's an old man there always showing up. I don't want to talk to him.
Never too late for another dog.
Isn't that cute? But it's real.
Yeah.
I have to talk to the damn guy.
I would love to hear from somebody out there, 720-386-0513. WowForSmallBusinesses.com. I'm Carla and would love to entertain a question or two if someone has one.
And it's funny that, like I said, don't expect. Sometimes they won't call them, but all of a sudden, next time, everybody, oh yeah, and they bombard you. It's like that happened. Like I said to one of the gals here, she got bombarded. She didn't expect that, but it had to do with social life and stuff, and talking about men and women and that kind of thing.
Oh well, that man-woman thing.
Yeah,
men are from Mars, women are from Venus.
That's not true. Women are God's gift to men. Cut and dry. Cut and dry. And
this is why he's been married for so long.
I can show you the scars. That's too funny. But we have fun here on this program, and this is our second one. Isn't that right?
This is our third one.
This is only our third one. And we opened up the phones. We should have opened up the phones right away, because that way, by the second or third, we would have been getting our calls. But we thought about it. I said, we can. We'll just do it.
Well, hopefully Henry will invite me back.
Oh, yeah. We'll keep doing this.
Trying.
No, we'll keep doing this. I mean, this is fun. I really enjoy talking to you about what you know and what you bring to the table. Now, you can look up behind us, and you can go to this website. And there's Carla. Be inspired.
Yes.
Wow, it's wowforsmallbusinesses.com.
Mhm.
You can see it up over in the corner, so you can just look right up. It's nice and big, so you can't say, I can't see it. Wowforsmallbusinesses.com. Excellent, excellent site for developing your business, helping yourself. And then Carla is also into the books, so you can get a hold of her and she'll help you out and get going. Now, here's something I think we talked about on the first one that was really interesting.
Okay.
How to talk about books.
Mhm.
And people think you can just get in there and start straightening the books up and you'll be done in a couple of days. That's a big one.
That is. But that goes back to levels of expectation.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we found out was it was easier to help prepare new clients with those levels of expectations. But this goes to communication, but also to what we call the playbook. No one understands your playbook but you. Okay? You got a playbook, I got a playbook. All right, if I don't sit there and tell you when we get started, hey, minimum 45 days
easily
for us to get
straighten
very
it out.
familiar with what's going on, understand your business, understand your transactions, all like that. It takes a little bit of time. Okay. If you don't understand that our playbook is what I call our adjustment period, and I always tell clients the same thing, Henry, you're going to hate us for the first 45 days. But then after that, we're going to we're going to be good. Okay,
yes,
we're going to be good.
Some people love you, though. They love you. So thank you, godsend.
Some people love us from the start, but that's only about 50%.
And then all of a sudden they say, well, I wanted to leave it there. I don't want to call it recreation.
Yeah, and
or something,
the thing is if you help people with their levels of expectations of you, you're already going to be in a better position to deal with them business-wise. Like this client that I mentioned, she was like, well, we've had you for 53 days. And I was like, wow, you're counting. And then I said, but guess what? I told you minimum of 45, okay? And you've got 7 different accounts happening.
Where are these coming from?
This takes a little bit of time. I think communication is really huge in business, whether you're talking about saying something positive or simply being very careful about how you couch certain terms or certain words when it relates to maybe getting a little pushback from a client. It is super important that you literally do what your mama told you to do. Think before you speak.
That's right. And she made a good statement right here by talking about that, because interpretation of certain words can just even kill a deal.
Absolutely.
And you can say something to somebody, and I'll bring this up. This is really interesting. In my culture, I call my sons my boys.
Mm-hmm.
This gal was over, and we were doing a deal.
Mm-hmm.
And I go, you have such cute little boys. Well, she didn't like that. Don't be calling my kids boys. Well, that goes back to the Southern culture of how they used to treat people and say, hey boy, and that kind of thing. And I didn't relate. I go, what are you talking about? I didn't get it. So you have to be careful in your choice of words when you're dealing with people, or how you're dealing with people, or on different levels of cultures too. You can go to, let's say, the Spanish language people. If you're speaking fluent Spanish, you got the deal.
Right.
It's true.
Mm-hmm.
If you're speaking in another language and they're a little apprehensive and they're watching you and they're not sure, but man, if you're speaking their language, speaking their terms, you're acculturating, assimilating to how you want to get your job done, how you want to communicate. Communication is the key with certain words. Never use other words that can just kill a deal. And like I told you, what happened to me, I didn't get it.
It took you a minute.
It took me a minute. Like, I'm sorry. And I explained it to her. I said, that's not my culture. I'm not.
Right.
I understand.
You didn't even know you offended her.
I didn't. I didn't know what she was talking about.
What?
Now, here's another one that was really good. And I
right.
pulled this on a lot of people.
Okay.
So we were at this one place. We're going to do a deal. And I was picking one person. And the other person says, are you not going with me because I'm black? I go, let me tell you something. I'm colorblind, so if you said that, I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, you know,
there's people who are colorblind. They can't see color. And so there's variables that go on that change the settings on a lot of things. So.
That is very, very true. Very, very true. And if you know ahead of time who you're dealing with, it helps.
And communication. And so Carla has this on her website right behind us. You can go to the webinars. And next time when we come in, we're going to push this a little harder. For the call-ins, we want your call-ins, and I know a lot of people are listening, but they won't call in. We know how this works.
I know you're shy.
I know that's true. It's really true.
It's anonymous. It's okay.
It's like this. It's like some people say, get up there on stage and just do it. It's the same thing. No, I'm not going up there. No.
Or I don't want to be the first.
Yes. It's exactly that. And you know it. And but when we talk about men, women, and stuff like that, you should see how the calls come in. It's like, get up, tell that son of a biscuit off. Oh, what's she talking about? And that's what starts it here. And it's that interaction with this is business. It's more of, like you said, no, go ahead, you go first. It's different.
And the thing is too, though, I mean, whether you're talking about relationships between men and women, when it comes to being a business owner, Henry, there's a lot of things going on in people's businesses that they feel a certain amount of shame, or like, I've been in business for 10 years, I feel I should know this, but I really don't know this, and I wish I could ask somebody. I'm here, ask me.
Or one time I was dealing with, I forgot what we were going to go do, and I was looking for the owner, and I made this mistake. I was looking around with me, I speak to him, where's he at? And the female walked up. I mean, excuse me. Female-owned businesses, they're big, and there's a lot of ladies who can conduct themselves and run full-fledged businesses on the big scale.
Yes.
And they do a fine job because they're meticulous, they're smart, and they look at details. And so that's a key factor that we maybe want to talk on our next one that we come in here and do, and then take calls on the female-male.
That would be great.
I think that's where you're going to get some. I think you'll get a lot of calls on something like that, and we'll bill it like that. Okay, so thank you for joining us. We've gone all the way to 45 minutes.
Oh goodness! Time flies.
So Carla, this is great. So we'll take a look to see how well this one does.
Okay.
And so each one, like I said, the first one really went up. The second one didn't look this high, but I know our subject lines were a little bit different. So I listened to the subject lines. Today's subject lines were really, really good. And so next time around, more call-ins. Now you can call in, and we're going to see. Watch, the calls will come in.
Okay.
We'll be ready for you.
WowForSmallBusinesses.com. Come and see a website that might be just what you've been looking for.
Talk to you all later.
Bye.